By the late 1970s, a handful of sanitary districts in Prince William had been reduced for the most part down to two. One that served the eastern side of the county, led by Raymond Spittle, and another that served the west, led by John Sloper.
These two administrators shared the vision of one unified water and sewer authority. Months of studies and negotiations looked like they were about to pay off as 1982 came to a close. But political and operational hurdles still had to be cleared before a countywide authority would become official.
We had all these disparate sanitary districts with different rate structures, well, they'd come about in different ways. They have been created in different ways, some by developers, some, I guess the one in Oaksville was just created basically for the school out there and a few customers, and just a real hodgepodge that was befitting for a rural county.
We had various water and sewer rates in the county. In the east, we had extremely low sewer rates and high water rates. In the west, we had very low water rates and high sewer rates.
And the debate was whether to make it a part of public works of the county or make it an independent organization, which we are, the service authority. Then they put it into effect, and our mandate was to eventually take over and run all the sewer and water operations in Prince William County.
So it was a political issue. Various supervisors representing the sanitary districts, they felt that there should be equity throughout the county, and the way to get there would be to have uniform rates. And the only way you could do that financially is to create an authority.
The two biggest challenges that the Infant Service Authority, I think, faced were combining staff that had totally different business practices, totally different computer systems, totally different everything.
However, for all of us, the issue was trying to make us feel like one organization and not as us and them.
We moved from the little rinky-dink buildings we had down there on Woodbridge and Greater Manassas up there, and we built this building, and I was very proud of this.
I think everybody was excited. We were in this big, beautiful new building, and we were happy to be here, and we were together, unified as one authority, not separated by the east or the west, or as it was called, the branch and the main.
I think when this building got built, it sort of did something. It sort of energized the service authority, and we accomplished a lot of things early on in our tenure.
The authority's new 5-member board of directors, which would eventually expand to 8 board members, had to help establish the organization's operational priorities and a uniform rate structure for its customers.
Occoquan, Woodbridge, Dumfries Triangle had 17,500 customers, and the combined sanitary districts, that would be Greater Manassas, Yorkshire, Oak Ridge, Independent Hill, and Nokesville, had 7,800 customers. What those two entities shared in common was a public relations nightmare. The citizens thought the devil owned the water company, and it was because their rates were extraordinarily high.
As our customers, they needed to be informed, and we did the best we could through many meetings, not only to educate ourselves as decision makers, but also to inform the public, because this was a big change in the utility bill that came to the customer.
I happened to be the original chairman, the first chairman, and which was an exasperating ordeal, because I had no idea about water and sewer, and we were it. I mean, the buck stopped right at our place.
We had to improve our perception in the community. So the best thing we did was, within a year or two, they standardized the rates.
And lowered their rates.
So they tremendously lowered the GMSD rate. That helped a lot from a customer perspective.
In 1985, the Service Authority participated in the expansion of the Upper Occoquan Sanitation Authority's wastewater treatment capacity from 15 to 27 million gallons per day. UOSA serves authority customers in the western portion of Prince William County. The expansion would allow for increased flow to the plant from the western portion of the county and would allow for the inevitability of population growth.
We all began to grapple with the reality of the new regulations on wastewater treatment and having to build all these redundancies into the system. And the community, I think, in general, came on board with us.
The latter half of the 1980s was also a busy but prosperous time for the authority, with the housing boom occurring in the eastern half of the county. By 1988, the Service Authority formalized a 24 million gallon per day water capacity purchase agreement with Fairfax Water to ensure an adequate water supply to authority customers on its public water system. But before the deal was sealed, the authority's board had to be convinced this was the best move for the organization.
John Sloper and Ray Spittle, obviously they did a lot of homework and they decided how they were going to present this. And even at that, it just raised the ire of a few of the board members. You know, whoever heard of buying water at that rate, and why we're going to do it, and they had everything together. You couldn't say no. You had to agree with it because they had the charts, they had the projections, they had what was going to be. Everything was right in front of you.
At the dawn of the 1990s, the authority began planning to expand the H.L. Mooney Water Reclamation Facility from a treatment capacity of 12 million gallons per day to 24 million gallons per day. But an economic slump hit the area that would affect not only the scope of the Mooney expansion project, but also the authority's financial state.
We looked for about 2,000 hookups a year to break even, and we were getting way, way over that in the past.
We normally, we were going at bringing in 4,100 new customers every year, and at the low point of that slump, we were doing just a little over 1,000. And every one of those customers, we relied on them to pay connection fees and availability fees to be able to finance the improvements that we were making.
A consultant recommended that we go to 24 MGD, and we built the plant for 18 MGD, and even the filters, we didn't expand that beyond what we had before, which was just 12. So we cut it back substantially.
It was moving from debt, a magnitude of from $9.5 million in debt to $110 million in debt, which was obviously a dramatic change for the Service Authority and for the board.
We had well over about $18 million in our expansion fund to pay for new projects, and that went down to $300,000. We just basically at that point cut off all new contracts. We didn't build anything that we didn't absolutely have to build.